France's historical family park turns its lens on its Iberian neighbours. Singer Denise Ho joins the crowds in Hong Kong, and we take a look at an exhibition here in Paris which celebrates one vital aspect of our environment, trees. That's all coming up. We're starting the show at a theme park that doesn't celebrate an iconic mouse and his animated friends, but history, culture and some spectacular reenactments. It's called the Prix de Feu, and it ranks among visitors' top theme parks in the country. But now those thrilling productions and immersive performances will be available outside of France, as the Prix de Feu is set to open in 2021 in the Spanish city of Toledo. A new special nighttime performance gives visitors a preview of that project, retracing the history of Spain in typically grandiose style. Tatiana Nasser reports.
In front of this breathtaking backdrop that replicates the Spanish World's UNESCO Heritage City of Toledo, a large-scale show takes the audience through over 1,500 years of the country's history, with costumes and special effects that have become the hallmark of Prix de Feu.
We flow through the narrative of centuries of history, and every period has a specific music associated with its emotions, along with the special effects that tie everything together. And we are lucky, because we're like big kids, who have the possibility to have our imagination and our dreams come true.
Stretching from the Visigoth Ricaredo kingdom until the 1st century of the modern era, the discovery of America by Christopher Columbus, and the construction of the first railway. 185 actors bring this elaborate display to life. This is the first of a planned 15 performances before the end of the year.
All of the action that happens backstage warrants a show of its own, because it's like a delicate choreography. The actors have to run to a certain spot, change their costume, and be ready on time for their next stage entrance. This happens multiple times. Everything has to be constantly in sync for the show to work.
With over 12 million visitors since it first opened in France in 1978, the Prix de Feu is the country's most visited theme park after Disneyland Paris. Over the years, it has cemented its reputation as one of the world's most spectacular historic reenactment shows, with over 1,200 actors and 400 horsemen, accompanied by a striking light show and music. The dialogues are in French, but translation headsets are available in 5 different languages. French playwrights created this show in Toledo telling Spanish history to mark the countdown until the inauguration of a 30-hectare theme park expected in 2021. Next stop on the Prix de Feu's agenda is China, where they've announced they plan to open in 2025.
Next, to a musician who swapped the stage for the streets in recent weeks. Denise Ho made a name for herself as a Cantopop star, but since 2014 her music has been banned in China. She got involved with political activism during Hong Kong's umbrella movement 5 years ago, becoming a vocal critic of Beijing. This year, she's taken up the pro-democracy cause once again, protesting alongside Hong Kongers to safeguard their civil liberties. Yenna Lee has more on this singer-turned-activist.
Marching with the masses, even amongst tens of thousands of protesters, Denise Ho is instantly recognizable. The Canadian pop star and LGBTQI activist is a household name in Hong Kong, not only for her songs but also for her politics. This summer, she's been an active participant of the leaderless pro-democracy movement.
It is very difficult for people to put a face on this movement. So I guess on that sense, I am someone that people can recognize and people can identify with. But still, myself, I see myself as one of the many, many participants.
Born in Hong Kong, Denise Ho moved to Canada as a child. She returned to her native city to pursue a career in the Cantopop world. Ho's alternative take of the genre won over legions of fans both in Hong Kong and in mainland China. Communist authorities, though, weren't always pleased with her political convictions, views that got her briefly arrested in 2014. Ho forfeited her career to join the pro-democracy marches known as the Umbrella Movement. Mainland China retaliated by banning her and her music. But she continues to voice her opinions, meeting the Dalai Lama in 2016 and 2017 and calling for China to be kicked out of the UN's Human Rights Council last July.
Hong Kong is the only city within the Chinese perimeter where people are fighting and speaking up for their freedom. Vous faites peur à la Chine? C'est vrai, mais je pense que tout le monde ici fait peur à la Chine.
The pop star turned activist has unintentionally become the voice of Hong Kong's political struggle.
We're moving to Pakistan now, where the city of Karachi is emerging as a new hotspot for rap music. Once known as one of the country's most dangerous areas, the neighbourhood of Lyari is now home to a vibrant creative scene. Rappers living there have boosted their following by posting clips of their tracks online, which in turn is changing perceptions of Lyari and Karachi. James Vizina tells us more.
It's no longer the sound of bullets resonating across Lyari, but words instead. Marred by poverty and political warfare, the North Karachi neighbourhood once had a much different feel to it.
Lyari is basically a gangster's place. There used to be a lot of crime here. It was difficult for someone from outside to come here. But now it's peaceful. Everything has settled, and people have changed a lot.
When Karachi became a major transport hub during the Soviet-Afghan War in the 1980s, heavily armed gangs roamed the streets of Lyari, leaving residents trapped between poverty and drug abuse. But after the paramilitary forces drove out most of the gangs, locals are now able to breathe again, and many are taking to music to express themselves.
We are changing people's way of thinking through our music and our lyrics. Music is the best way to do it, because people like it, and rap culture is gradually catching on.
A tendency that will hopefully drive the youth away from crime once and for all.
They're turning away from drugs and other negative activities and coming towards music, which is a good thing. They're taking care of their health. Making use of talent is important.
Clips of their songs are amassing millions of views on the internet, as the message of the rappers of Lyari reaches the ears of Pakistanis from all over the country.
We're now taking a look at an exhibition here in Paris which turns its back on the man-made world and instead focuses on trees. The Cartier Foundation has brought together work from international artists, but also from botanists and philosophers, to create a contemporary vision of the world's forests, woods and gardens. The show also highlights the delicate relationship between different flora and the indigenous people who rely on those habitats, as well as the threats posed by climate change and increasing deforestation. Our reporters went to find out more.
The Fondation Cartier didn't have to look far for inspiration for its trees exhibition. This cedar just outside the museum has been standing for nearly 200 years. Although surrounded by city, the museum's garden reminds us of the presence of the natural world in the urban landscape.
Perhaps we forget about these trees sometimes. This reminds us they're still here, all around us. We can observe them and protect them too.
To me, they're a symbol of life. Without trees, there's no life. Everything stops.
The exhibit displays artworks featuring trees as the central subject. From the multi-layered, lush landscapes of Brazilian painter Luiz Zerbini to the indigenous drawings of the Yanomami people. There were relationship between humans and trees is also a recurring theme. Filmmaker Raymond Depardon paints the portrait of the plane trees and the oaks that provide shade to many a French village square. The exhibition showcases works from a wide array of contributors: photographers, philosophers, biologists, botanists, and even architects. Their disciplines may vary, but their awe of trees brings them together.
This fascination with trees and the desire to protect them is what unites the artists and scientists that work together on this exhibition. They encourage us to look at the world differently in a way that redeems trees and gives them a central place in the world of the living.
Trees are far older than humans. They've existed on Earth for nearly 350 million years, longer than we have. But that existence is constantly under threat of human destruction.
And we're finishing the show with an open-air cinema event here in Paris, which makes the most of the last of the warm evenings, the Silhouette Festival. Here, visitors can watch a selection of short films, and there's live music to kick off the festivities too. That all takes place in the park of the Butte du Chapeau Rouge in the east of the city. We'll leave you with a little look at what's in store. Do remember you can get more arts and culture on our website, and you can keep up with Encore on social media too. Stay with us here on France 24. There's more news coming up in just a moment.